Vegas Weekly. It's 7/11/2020. We're back with another program. Got a lot of news this week out of Las Vegas, some more comp tips. Of course, you're going to see our friend PJ, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the history of downtown. Of course, speaking of history, thanks so much to all of you who took the time to watch our Vegas history special this past Wednesday. I'd say it was a success. We had almost as many people watching that as watched the weekly show, so really appreciate that. We'll continue doing that probably once a month. Usually every 4 weeks or so we do a live stream on Wednesdays. Otherwise, we're usually dark on Wednesdays, unless we have Vegas content, which sadly we don't. So we'll probably do the history special like every 4 weeks as well. So really enjoyed putting that together. Kind of a rough draft, but hopefully we'll get better at it. Also wanted to take just a moment to congratulate our friends Hog and 2 Cent on 2,500 YouTube subscribers. I remember when they were just a little channel, just a couple of hundred people. And we were talking about them then, we'll continue to talk about them now. Really great people. If you want to know how to build a YouTube channel, just follow what they did, really. Got a lot of quality content, networked with a lot of people, and was very supportive of other channels, and they continue to be. So definitely, if you've not followed them, please do so. And they have a brand new Vegas vlog, an actual Vegas material that's coming out. I know part 1 is in the can, and I think part 2 will be coming up pretty soon. So again, congrats to them. In the news this week in Las Vegas, it's, I won't call it a mixed bag because it's mostly not such good news. The governor announced on Thursday that as a result of the spike in COVID-19 infections in the state of Nevada, that bars, just bars, would be rolled back to essentially the same position they were in under phase 1. In other words, you really just can't sit at a bar and drink. Obviously, it's a huge blow to those businesses that, are basically just cheers, okay? Think about Stage Door. I had a chance to watch some of the closing minutes at Stage Door last night, thanks to our friends Vegas Best Ideas. They live streamed the closing of that bar, but there are dozens of other establishments like that all over Las Vegas. They cannot be open. Now, if you are a bar which serves food, you can remain open, but you cannot utilize the bar area. Of course, casinos have many bars, and many of us have some of our fondest memories sitting at casino bars. Apparently, that is also off. At one point, I was unclear on that, thought maybe you could still sit at the bar even though there wouldn't be a bartender. But photographs I've seen of a few casinos this morning show those areas completely walled off. I don't know what effect this is really going to have. Clearly, people go to bars, they drink, they get sloppy. Obviously, if you're sitting there drinking all the time, you're not wearing a mask. But of course, same thing is true in a restaurant. You're probably not wearing a mask there either. It seems to me this is one of those cases where there was pressure on the governor to do something, and this is what he chose to do. Certainly could have been worse. We heard a lot of predictions that we were going to have another casino shutdown coming any day now, and so far that has not happened. The governor did also point out they were keeping a very close eye on pools and gyms, other places where social distancing and the wearing of masks has been somewhat lax. And really all of this coming down to some monitoring that was done and a lack of compliance with the order to wear masks. I'm not going to comment on any of this any more than to simply say that regardless of whether I think any of these moves are particularly wise or even legal, so it does seem like governors just suddenly have magical powers all of a sudden. They don't have to consult with anyone. But in any case, regardless of that, I hope it works. I hope it does. I hope we see transmission rates decline. I hope we see less people sick, less people having to be in the hospital, and of course, less deaths. So I hope it works. The thing is, every time you tighten restrictions, you're likely to have some success in reducing transmission. And frankly, every time you loosen restrictions, you're probably going to see increases. The question, of course, is, as a public servant, is where do you draw that line and how do you make a decision which is in the best interest of the community? There are a number of bar owners who are apparently suing the governor about this order, and the fact that it just singles them out versus other businesses that may also have not been so compliant. I did notice right before the show today that there is a list out there now on the intertube, I'm sure you can find it, that will tell you about the fact what particular businesses and what particular areas were most not in compliance with the mask and social distancing orders. You can check that out if you want. There was a little bit of, oddly enough, good news this week. Apparently Bally's will be reopening on July the 23rd. So that's good news. One of our favorite hotels, and good casino, great location. So we're glad to see them opening up. It does seem odd that if there were casino closings on the horizon, that Caesars would choose to go to the trouble to open another casino. It's not a simple process. So hopefully that's a sign that perhaps behind the scenes that policymakers, the governor, have said, hey, we're not going to close down casinos. We're going to make this work. So, and the other note along that line is apparently, the idea is that if you have more casinos open, more hotel space available, that it's easier to social distance. So, but we're happy to welcome Bally's back. The other news as far as the casino front, not so good. The last thing I had heard again was Oyo had been pushed back to August 1, and Tropicana is basically closed for now, as is the Palms and a couple other of the Station Casino properties. Wouldn't expect to see those places reopening until they're sold, or until next year. We'll find out. Anyway, like I said, a difficult news week, but hopefully we'll have better news next week, and we'll share it with you. And speaking of sharing, no one shares more than our friend PJ. Brings us his PJ's Cocktail of the Week every week for you. PJ did mention in our show coming up, some of the guest bartenders that we've had on the show, and we certainly would encourage any of you who would like to do a guest spot on Cocktail of the Week to, hey, let me know. Send me your submission. We'd love to give PJ a few breaks now and then, and I think it would be fun to have some of the viewers of the program share their own cocktail concoction. But this week, PJ has another special drink for you to share. And without any further ado, let's let him share it. PJ?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cocktail of the Week with your host and not a professional bartender, PJ.
Hey, John, thanks again for another fabulous introduction. You know, this is the 17th drink I've done on your show, John. We should have some kind of anniversary. 17 drinks, 17 shows. You've done more than 17 shows, obviously, but this is my 17th drink that I've done on Vegas Tips and Tricks. I hope you guys have enjoyed every single one of them, including some of our guest bartenders. Vegas Best Ideas, Ben Heath, Colin, and Ace of Vegas. So I hope you've enjoyed all their drinks and any other future guest bartenders that we may have on the show. Anyhow, today's drink, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a blended pina colada. That's right, it's pina colada time, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do a blended pina colada here. There's a couple of variations of this drink also. There's you can have it on the rocks, you can have it with crushed ice, or you can have it blended like I'm going to do it. We're going to be using just a few ingredients, white rum, and you can use spiced rum, dark rum, or even a coconut rum, but I find if you just do a plain white rum, you'll get more of the coconut flavor and pineapple flavor. We're also going to be using a coconut cream, or cream of coconut, which is different from coconut cream. You want the cream of coconut. We're going to be doing some fresh pineapples, and I am going to blend all this in a blender, but I'm going to be using my ice cubes. I think the smaller ice cubes will definitely chop up better in the blender, but we're going to see. We're going to see. All right, enough of me blabbing. Let's get into building this cocktail, shall we? So the first thing we're going to need is my blender. Move our star attraction out of the way, pop that out of the way. Let's put in some ice. Lots of ice. Don't want to waste any of this ice. It's all good ice. Not only did I wash my hands, I showered. All right, next thing, this calls for 2 ounces of white rum, and that looks like about 2 ounces. Okay, next, this is what I was talking about: cream of coconut. Cream of coconut. Cream of coconut. Give this a good shake. Once you've opened this, you want to make sure you refrigerate it. I have used this before. All right, and this calls for about a couple of ounces of this too. Looks like a couple of, let's do a little bit more. All right. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have enough room for all this. Pineapples. Lots of fresh pineapples. Squeeze these puppies in there. Mash that puppy down in there. I should have probably chopped these up a little bit into smaller pieces, but let's go from there. I won't lick my fingers. I was tempted, man, I was tempted. All right, screw this guy on. A little bit of mess. I think that's good. Let's bring in our blender and let's see what we got. Oh, it's creamy. Oh, that looks good. That looks damn good. Alrighty, let's bring our main attraction in, our star attraction, which is the glass. No explosion. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the blended pina colada. Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. That time I licked my fingers. I might have a little bit too much rum in this. Is there such a thing as too much rum? I don't think so. Alrighty, let's garnish this with a pineapple. And it wouldn't be complete if I didn't have an umbrella. Oh, failure. Pineapple failure. All right, we're just going to float it. Hey, like John has said before, and I have said myself, I am not a professional bartender, ladies and gentlemen. I am not a professional bartender. Oh, my goodness. But hey, we can salvage this. Can we? All right, there we go. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. And there you have it. A blended pina colada. Now let's get up close and personal. I don't know what I'm doing. Cheers, everybody. Oh, geez. Let's give this sucker a try. Oh, my. Did I say too much rum? I might have. This recipe says for 2 ounces. I think we probably threw in maybe 3 or 4, but I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this is a delicious, delicious blended pina colada. White rum, cream of coconut, cream of coconut, fresh pineapples, the baby crushed ice, the small crushed ice cubes work great. Garnish with a pineapple. Hopefully the first one works pretty well. Top an umbrella on there if you have one around. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you haven't already, please subscribe. John puts on a fantastic show for everybody. Some great information on Las Vegas. Subscribe, leave a comment, leave a thumbs up. And if you want, you can check out my other channel, PJ Cocktails, where I have some other drinks as well. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, please drink responsibly. And hey, have a pina colada and watch the rest of John's show. John, happy summer, buddy. Cheers. Man, this is good. Fresh pineapples really help. Peace, everybody. I'm out of here. John, back to you.
All right, thanks PJ for another great cocktail. Again, if you'd like to be our Cocktail of the Week special guest, let me know. Hit me up at the email address you now see below you, jrswift@vegastipstricks.com, and we'll make you famous, or at least a couple of hundred people will see you. So there you go. Tell all your friends. All right, so today's Vegas tip or trick continues our series on Vegas comps. And we've been talking comps in this kind of very, I don't know, theoretical sort of way, with mathematics and how you can slice and dice this and that to make things better for you to get the most back from the casino. But some sort of casino comp tips and tricks are right there in front of you, and it's a matter of taking advantage of some of those things. Now, what I'm going to talk about today is probably more accurate with respect to, say, off-strip casinos, downtown casinos, maybe your local casino, because you don't see as much of this kind of stuff on the strip, probably because they don't feel like they have to. But a lot of casinos run promotions. Normally when you play, you earn points that can be redeemed towards comps. Of course, that's only a small part of what you should expect to get back, but it is a part of that. And you can, go to many restaurants and you can simply pay with your points if you've earned enough points. You get enough, you can get a free buffet. Well, if there were buffets, or a free meal, or a free T-shirt, or some sort of thing where you can basically comp yourself. All the slot programs do this, from Caesars to M Life, Boyd, you name it. But on occasion, you'll have special days where you can earn multipliers. I know Boyd does this, I think, just about every week at most of their properties. Boyd, of course, owners of Fremont, Cal, Main Street downtown, as well as a number of off-strip casinos like the Orleans or Sam's Town. And they're very good about doing these sort of multiplier days where you'll earn 2, 3, 5, sometimes like 11 times the number of points you normally would by playing. Well, if you have to choose a day to play in that casino, obviously pick the day when there are multipliers. Also, sometimes they'll have special deals, not just Boyd, but other properties have deals that on specific days, if you earn a certain number of points, typically a rather nominal number, you may get, again, a free buffet or a free dining credit of some sort that you can use in that establishment. Oftentimes it'll be on off days that they're not expecting to have as many visitors. And again, you can see this at some of the downtown properties. I know El Cortez has done this from time to time. In addition, make sure that when you sign up for your player's card that you get and remember your PIN, because in many cases there are kiosks scattered around the casino that will allow you to log into your account. You can not only check how many points you have, how much activity you've had, but in some cases there will be special offers that you'll be able to take advantage of. You may be able to literally, I know I did this at the Plaza last year when I was staying there, and I had played a little bit and I logged into there and they had all kinds of comp offers, again, like meal credits or free play or free bingo or something. And so if you don't log in there, you may not even know you have those options. You don't see it that much on the Strip, but again, I see it at a lot of my local casinos where, again, you can log in and print out any free play you might have or dining credits you may have, or take advantage of any kind of special multipliers. And again, depending on who you are, you may get special offers that apply just to you. Again, pay attention to special offers, particularly multipliers, particularly cheap food deals, or gifts or giveaways, if it's something that interests you, of course. Make sure that you check those casino kiosks whenever you can, because sometimes there'll be offers there that you won't have heard about otherwise. And just be a smart player. Overall, these sorts of points and everything like that aren't necessarily going to make up the vast majority of your comps, particularly if you value things like free rooms and so forth. But they can be a great addition, and if you're going to play anyway, why not play the smart way? So that's our Vegas tip or trick on comps this week. So as I mentioned last week, we're moving our Vegas history segment to the end of the program. And for those of you who are interested in it, apparently there are at least a few of you who are. If you've been following along, we have been talking about the history of downtown Las Vegas and how things have changed over the past century or more. Talked about the block that currently is Circa. Talked about the block where currently is the Golden Gate. Today we're going to talk about the Binion's block. And it's had quite a checkered history. In fact, we could do a whole program just on all of the crazy stuff that's happened in and around Binion's and with the Binion's family. Maybe we will someday. But today we're really going to talk about that block and how it's changed over time. And if you start on the west side of the block, it's where the old Mint Hotel was, but the first major building that stood there until the mid-50s was a bank. There was a bank right on that corner. We forget that downtown Las Vegas at one time was where people lived and shopped. So, and you're going to find as we look at some of the other blocks in Las Vegas that there are, drugstores and grocery stores, hardware stores that are scattered into that history. Well, here you had a major bank that stood until the mid-50s when it was demolished to make way for the fabulous Mint Hotel. We'll come back to the Mint Hotel. At the other end of that block is what was the original site of the Binion's Horseshoe. But it didn't start out as Binion's Horseshoe either. In fact, let's throw in a quick photograph of the original Apache Hotel and Casino. There you go. Actual photograph on the program. This had to have taken place sometime in the 30s because the actual Apache Casino was only open from like 1932 to 1941. But the Apache Hotel stood for quite some time, and it was not, for most of that time, it did not have a casino. It was simply a hotel. And you can actually stay in the original Apache Hotel. It still exists, and Binion's reopened it. Now, Binion's also doesn't come along until like the 50s. There are a number of small gambling clubs on that block. And going farthest to the east in this case, yeah, I think I did that right. The club that stood there prior to Binion's was called the Boulder Club. and it was there until Binion's purchased it and renamed it Binion's Horseshoe. Later, they would purchase the Apache Hotel, and it would become the Binion's Hotel. Next door to the Boulder Club was the El Dorado Club. Notice there's a lot of these clubs, because the original casinos weren't these sort of hotel complexes. They were just places people went in to have a drink and a gamble. The El Dorado Club was also purchased by Binion's, and they demolished it, and they moved and expanded into that space. Eventually, Binion's Horseshoe would purchase the Mint Hotel. And it's kind of sad, because if you look back at some of the old pictures of the Mint, and hey, we've got another photo for you. The Mint was a pretty cool looking building. You know, that massive hotel tower that's been closed now for 10 years, that was the Mint Tower originally. The Binion's Hotel was just the Apache Hotel, which is open now, but the old Mint Tower is not open. But the Mint was very cool. It had this, you know, the pink floating lines. It had the rooftop pool. It was a pretty cool place in its day. One of those hotels you wish you'd had a chance to see. Although Binion's didn't really do that much sort of demolition on the place. They just kind of covered it up. There's actually a few places, I think, as you head up to the Whiskey Liquor Up bar, or from certain vantage points around that bar, you can actually see some little pieces of that pink Mint sign. So there you go. I think Matt Bridger had it in one of his vlogs. I'm pretty sure Hog and 2 Cent had it in one of their vlogs. So check that out if you want to see that. It's just a little bit of exposed mint. But the Mint lasted only until 1988, when Binion's bought that as well. It's interesting. Of course, they simply moved into that space. You can see the dividing line pretty easily between the two properties, because the floor actually is slightly uneven. And also, as you get into the Mint side, is where you can see that long hallway that leads to the back exit and the old elevators for the hotel. That's when you sort of stepped into the Mint. So it's interesting, the next time you walk through Binion's, kind of try to figure out all those little components: the original Boulder Club, the expanded El Dorado Club area, the Mint area. If Binion's sometimes looks like it's patched together, kind of the way Caesar's Palace sometimes looks like it's patched together, it's because it really was. So Binion's itself, it has a checkered history. Again, we could talk about Benny Binion. His family was, well, kind of a train wreck, let's be honest, and ultimately the place went bankrupt. It was sold off, parceled off. The Horseshoe name, well, went away. The World Series of Poker went away. And now, of course, it's just Binion's. It's not Binion's Horseshoe anymore. Here's an old photo of mine of Binion's. There you go. And they've tried to make a number of improvements in recent years, but the one thing to learn from all this is it wasn't always a block of Binion's like it is today. So we certainly wish the folks at Binion's all the more great success. They've definitely made some changes and hopefully improvements to that property in recent years. So hopefully it'll be there for many years to come. And that's our Vegas history spot this week. And that's going to wrap up our show. Thanks so much for joining us again. This should be a very lucky day. Go out there and 7-Eleven, okay? Roll some dice or something. Or go get a Slurpee. But anyway, thanks so much for joining us. Hope that you are well. And as always, have a great and lucky week. We will see you soon.